just gonna throw this out there. This will definitely be a series of videos, probably definitely more than 2, probably like 3 or 4, because I have a lot to talk about. Hey guys, here for a super special, awesome chocolate double fudge covered video for you. This is my thoughts on what Michael Bay has done to Transformers, also known as my thoughts on the movieverse. So basically what I'm just going to be doing is talking about my personal take on the first movie, and then after that I'll kind of just say from what I've seen of Revenge of the Fallen, what I think about that and what I'm kind of excited for and what I'm kind of like, why would they do that? I really can't talk about the first movie without bringing up kind of my history as a Transformers fan. When I was younger, Beast Wars was on TV pretty predominantly, and I saw it as a kid quite a few times, and that was really my very first, you know, kind of experience with Transformers, and as anyone who's watched my first video will know, it terrified me. My little kid brain did not understand why the monkey was turning into a robot and why there was a scary cheetah that turned into a robot. I remember Cheetor especially, like, I think I've had nightmares about Cheetor. For some reason, he just bothered me. And I remember Rat Trap, too. See, I don't even remember, like, Rhinox or any other character at all. I just remember there being a monkey, a scary cheetah, and a weird little rat. And that's all I remember, and it was terrifying. So I didn't follow it by any means. It'd be on sometimes and I'd watch it for a couple minutes and then I'll be like, please put on Powerpuff Girls, I can't handle this. And then when the movie got announced, I saw the preview trailer, just the one of like the little thing on the Mars that got like crushed by a Transformer, and I was like, I like this. But I kind of was like, I kind of dig Transformers. I knew about Optimus Prime, I knew about Megatron, sort of, because they're such pop culture idols that you don't really, you can't really not know about them. So I was really excited for this movie. I was like, this is going to be a really cool movie. I'll probably like this movie a lot. Little did I know it was going to turn into something that like consumed the rest of my life, but that's okay. And my very first piece of Transformers merchandise that I ever bought, I was in this little bookstore, and I saw this, and I was like, I have to buy this. And this is, for anyone who doesn't know, the tie-in novel for the movie. So I read it, and I was, like, so pumped for the movie. So then I went and saw the movie, and I just could not believe what I had just seen. It blew my mind, and after that I basically just fell into Transformers, and it's funny because the very first time I saw the movie, all I had really seen was the book, and I had done a little bit of research online, so I really came in as more of just a civilian, I guess. I remember being really, really confused because, as anyone who's seen the movie will know, and it said this in the book, Megatron and Optimus refer to each other as brothers one time in the movie, and I think more than once in the novel tie-in, and so my original perception was that they were like these brothers who like got in a fight and then somehow that turned into a war, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. No, that's not it at all. I basically, after I saw the movie, I was like, this is something that's really cool, this is something that I want to get into. And after I saw the movie, I bought my very first Transformer ever, and this is kind of lame, but yes, my very first Transformer figure was Deluxe Movie Jazz. Yep. It's funny because after I bought this, I read that basically this was like the worst figure ever, but I love him, and I was so excited. I was like, I have a car that turns into a robot, and that's so cool. Ugh, I was a funny noob. So yeah, this is my first ever Transformer. So yeah, so my thoughts on the movie, I guess I'll just go character by character. So I guess the one to start with would be Optimus Prime. I remember people being really, really not happy about the flames. I didn't really mind that, and that's something that I still don't really mind. It makes him look cool, it makes him makes him someone that the little kids all want because he looks really cool because he's got flames. So I don't mind the flames. The thing I loved about Optimus in the movie was his personality and the way that he was characterized in the movie. I liked the way that he was not really, like, super gentle with Sam and Michaela, especially when they're looking for the glasses. Like, you need to go find them right now. I cannot be patient with you. You guys are annoying, and you're making me mad. So I really liked Optimus's characterization most of the time. There was a couple of things I caught even before I was really familiar with Optimus Prime in the movie that kind of bothered me, and I was like, I don't think these lines are very reverent to what he probably means to a lot of people. And those lines would be, my bad, him saying eBay, and him being like, oops. Those just rubbed me the wrong way. But they were pretty minor, and I kind of got over it. But so overall, I really liked Optimus. So next would probably be Bumblebee. I actually thought that his design was really cool. It was very sleek. I think that design is a good representation of what Bumblebee means to kids now in the same way that he meant to them in the 80s, because he is, if a kid was running around with a giant robot, which is what Spike and Sam both do, is they're running around with Bumblebee, that's the one that they would want to hang out with. In the 80s, Bumblebee was the more personable robot. He was the one that you would want to hang out with, kind of, and I think it's the same thing with this new Bumblebee. Compared to the other Autobots in the first movie, Bumblebee really is, if you had to pick one of those ones to hang out with, maybe other than Jazz, but, you know, he cusses, so your parents probably don't want you to hang out with him. Bumblebee really is the one that I think you'd want to hang out with, and so that's why I think that Bumblebee is a good representation of what he meant in the 80s, but that's really just my opinion. I really liked the whole Bumblebee talking through the radio thing. I thought it worked really well, and I definitely liked it more than his voice. Ugh. Next, I guess, would be Ratchet. Ratchet was, like, the only one that when I very first saw him, I was just like, ew. Ugh. I have never, and probably will never, like that neon green on him. I really liked Ratchet's voice, though, in the movie. I thought he was played pretty well. He didn't really say or do all that much, though. I mean, he ran into some wires, which, that wasn't even him in the book. I can't remember. It's been a while since I read this. But it definitely wasn't him. I think that it was Jazz who ran into the wires. I can't be sure. Even in, like, the last, like, huge battle, it's set up for Ironhide and Ratchet to, like, be doing all this awesome stuff, but it's really just, Ironhide doing it. All Ratchet does, I think he just cuts off Brawl's arm, and that's it. Or, Ratchet was okay for me. Ironhide, I didn't really dig him as much. I've never really been a fan of Ironhide's personality in the movie. I felt like he was always quoting a movie and not actually, like, speaking or having a real character, other than he wanted to shoot stuff. His design is okay. His face looks weird. So Ironhide is probably my least favorite out of the main Autobots. And then, of course, there's Jazz. I actually really liked Jazz's design from the beginning. I thought that he looked really sleek and that he was really cool looking. And I liked the way his head was designed. Now, Jazz's characterization is kind of a different story. And when I first saw the movie, I didn't think that there was really anything wrong with the way that he was played, like, voice actor-wise. It did kind of take me aback to see that he cussed. I was like, what? So Jazz overall was okay. Now, Jazz's death in the movie, that actually kind of bothered me a little bit because obviously, like I said, I had read the book before I saw the movie, and in the book, and what I later found out happened in the comic, was that Jazz doesn't get ripped in half like he does in the movie, which, you know, happens in like 2 seconds, and everyone I saw the movie with didn't even know that he was dead. But Jazz doesn't get ripped in half. His spark gets ripped out by Megatron. That is something that you definitely don't come back from. I thought it was really lame that he just got kind of ripped in half. Also, it just seemed like no one cared at the end. Ironhide and Optimus were, like, holding the two sides of him like grocery bags. They were like, oh my god, Jazz, taking him home. And Optimus was like, oh, I'm sad. But we got new friends, so it's okay. So movie Jazz is kind of a mixed bag for me.